Just Blaze and the good folks at Rockefeller Records.
You know, you were in game one of the playoffs, and all everybody talked about was the Lakers.
Nobody outside the Miami Heat fan organization would have looked at the playoff construction and said, yeah, the Miami Heat can win a championship.
Fellow Americans, it is with the utmost pride and sincerity that I present this recording as a living testament and recollection of history in the making during our generation.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. H to the OP. I guess even back then you can call me CEO of the ROC.
Fellow Americans, it is with the utmost pride and sincerity that I present this recording as a living testament and recollection of history in the making during our generation.
Clutch Talk family, what's the deal? What's the deal? What's the deal, man? It's NBA Finals time. We all know this is the best time, not only in basketball, but in the world. I don't care what you like. If you like baseball, soccer, World Cup, baseball, football, it don't matter. The NBA Finals is better than that. And because it's such a big time, I had to bring such a big time guest. And because the Miami Heat are repping in the finals, I had to bring on my boy, T-Riz from the Miami Heat Network. My boy, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I'm super excited that my team's in the finals, man. It's definitely going to be a tough finals, man. We're playing against the best player, personally, in my opinion, in the NBA, but not in the NBA, but also in the postseason in this series. So it's definitely going to be tough, man. But y'all know what it is, man. Miami in 6.
Miami in 6. That's crazy. So I definitely don't got Miami. I will say I will give my full prediction at the end, so definitely stick around. But I do got the Denver Nuggets. But basically, y'all, in this episode, what I want to do is I just want to, from my side, from the Nuggets side of things. I'm not gonna act like I'm a Nuggets fan because they did pop my Lakers, sweep my Lakers actually. But from the Nuggets side of things, man, I'm just gonna give a little some advantages that they have, and then I'm gonna go ahead and finish up by giving some 4 key factors for the Nuggets, and then my boy T-Riz is going to talk a little bit about the Miami Heat and what he got, and then we could go back and forth a little bit at the end, and then we'll wrap this up, man. So for the family out there, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Make sure you go check out all of my boy T-Riz's channels. Everything will be linked in the description down below. He's a man of many talents. He does not just do the Miami Heat Network. So get at us. But let's stop wasting time. Let's get into it. So look, T, the first thing I think first is, I mean, look, if the Heat struggled with the Celtics height, then man, they are going to be in for one hell of a matchup with the even taller, even bigger Denver Nuggets, right? And I mean, if we just look at just the Nuggets and the Heat straight up, I think it's clear that the matchups favored the Nuggets. And you know, I talk with you all the time. Playoffs is all about matchups. Doesn't really matter, who's been the better team throughout the season or anything like that. It's just about who you match up with. Well, that's kind of why I looked at that Lakers and Warriors series. Like the Warriors had better regular season, but then the Lakers just simply matched up better with them. We're able to take that. And in this situation, I mean, the Nuggets have the extreme height advantage. Like in this, it's not just with Jokic, but they also have the mismatch every time down court. I mean, the Heat are small. They struggle with guarding true bigs. Jokic is 6'11", really 7 foot. They playing him. He's 6'11", 284, while Bam, who's realistically probably going to be the Heat's 5, the Heat's center, he's 6'9", 255. So not only is he giving up a couple of pounds, but he's also giving up some inches. And I know then you think to yourself like, all right, cool. Well, the Heat is going to throw a double. The problem is the Heat just simply can't double Jokic, right? And I'm gonna show some videos here, some clips here as to like why the Heat really just can't double Jokic, right? I mean, every time down court, we're gonna see Jokic make the right pass because we know that, look, Jeff Green right there, very willing cutter. We know that the Nuggets have a lot of willing cutters, right? Jeff Green, you can look at Bruce Brown, KCP, even Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon's a slam dunk champion. So, I mean, the Heat already struggle with that one-on-one matchup of Bam and Jokic. And if they decide to then send a double, then I mean Jokic is gonna make him pay. And I mean, even if he doesn't hit the cutters, he's got He's got a KCP who's shooting 41% from the 3-point line, spotting up. He's got an MPJ who stepped up this year as a 3-point shooter and shooting 40% as a team. And I mean, and then as a result of the fact of the Heat really not being able to double, I would not be surprised if in this series we saw a lot of Jokic just post up, because Bam can't guard him. If you want to bring in Cody Zeller, that's even more barbecue chicken. Cody Zeller can't guard him. So I really wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of Jokic post ups in this in this series, because the Heat can't double. If they double, we know Jokic is going to make him pay. Then so Jokic, needs to force him. Make Eric Spoelstra and Bam Adebayo and Heat make a decision of, are you going to just allow Bam to get torched all game and get ate up in the post, or are you gonna send the help, and am I going to beat you with my other players? And then this also kind of plays into the height advantage that I was talking about, and not really just with Jokic. It's Aaron Gordon. He's got the height advantage with his matchup. MPJ's got the height advantage with his matchup. So really, I mean, and then also when you look at playoffs so far, the Nuggets have played the Wolves, Suns, and the Lakers, and they've been averaging 51 points in the paint. 51 points in the paint. The Suns, the Wolves, and the Lakers all have better paint presence, all have better interior defense than the Miami Heat. So I'll be honest, I'm just very fearful for the Heat. Their lack of height, their lack of paint protection, and a lack of inability to match up with the Nuggets. I have a lot of fear for them. I'll get into my 4 key points later, but T, talk to me about some of the things you think when I first said it.
Well, like everything you said, like I can agree upon, right? But the thing about the Miami Heat is, coming into this season, there was a lot of people saying we're going to be a playing team, and technically they were right. We were a playing team, right? We were 8th seed, but the thing is, we're a different type of playing team, right? We had to win 2 games, but not only did we have to win 2 games, we had to play the number 1 seed. And after we got matched up with the number 1 seed, which we matched up with them in 2021 or 2020, around there, which they swept us, the Miami Heat remembers all this type of stuff. This is the same core, man. They brought the same team back. Tyler Hero said it before the season even started during the summer. He's like, what do you think the Heat should do with this roster? And he said, just run it back, right? They made no key additions. Like, they added Kevin Love and Cody Zeller and stuff like that. And fun fact, Kevin Love made it to the, I believe, the finals or Eastern Conference Finals, every team that he'd been on, which is very interesting to say. But like, as a Heat fan, we was upset during the offseason because we didn't bring much people to this roster. Either way, the team was confident, and that's all that really matters. When you have the team and the coaching confident, it doesn't matter what the fans think. It doesn't matter what the outside perspective think, because in that locker room, they're confident. They're going out there every single day, and they had up and down season. But after we upsetted the Milwaukee Bucks, we still wasn't getting a lot of respect. And I know a lot of people tend to throw, well, they didn't have Giannis. Well, Giannis did play the last few games. And even with Giannis, the team technically was still, roster-wise, they're still better than the Miami Heat. Let's just be honest with you, right? And we beat them. And one thing about the Milwaukee Bucks, you brought up length. They're a tall team, and that's one of their main strengths, was having Giannis, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday. Was a bunch of length. And that didn't matter because Jimmy Butler outplayed Drew Holiday. He outplayed Chris Middleton. He outplayed Giannis. He was the best player on the court. And that's the reason why we won that series. And the advantage personally that I think we got, and I'm not going to discredit Michael Malone because I think he's a good coach. I think the Miami Heat have the best coach in the NBA right now. And I think it showed in this postseason, right? It showed when it mattered. He kept his group together, and he's talking his talk. It's funny that these head coaches are very verbal. Like, they're going to talk to the press conference and say, like, I don't care what it is. We're going to do what we got to do to win. Like, I see Eric Spo talking like, we could play in the mountains if all I care for. And then you got Michael Malone talking about, like, we've been the underdogs. We don't, like, you know what I'm saying? They're not going back and forth, but they're low-key kind of throwing shade at each other, like, and that's what we like to see. And looking at the Miami Heat roster on paper, let's be honest, it doesn't look good at all. It really doesn't, especially after losing a Victor Oladipo and a Tyler Hero. And even when Victor Oladipo and Tyler Hero was there, this team was still struggling, right? But one thing about this Miami Heat team is that we've been through adversity. They already have, like, I don't know how to explain it, but when you have the connection with your teammates, when you already went to war, you already know your teammate going to have your back. And that's what they ride through. So a lot of people been doubting this team, right? And going to the Celtics series, in a sense, They were down. They were up 3-0. And John, I know you've seen the ESPN statistics where they still had the Celtics winning the series. They were giving the Heat like a 3%, 11% chance. They're up 3-0. What do you mean you're giving them 11% chance and then you gave it to 20? Like, they gave the Heat no respect. And even Jay Will, he put a list out today or something like that, and they're not even on his top 5 list. And like to make the championship next year, which I understand, but still give this team respect. And I think they feed off that, and I think they thrive off that, right? But not only that, right? You come in, you go down. This is the difference of Miami to Denver Nuggets, okay? And I don't want to say the Denver Nuggets, what they did was not good because they earned that number 1 seed, right? You earned that number 1 seed for a reason. If you notice who they played seed-wise, they played nobody. Let's be honest with you, right? Even though the Lakers were a competitive team, they sweep them 4-0, right? The Timberwolves, come on, that was baby food to them, right? And like all the teams they played wasn't really much competition. They didn't give them much competition, and that's because they just played. They got the perfect matchups, right? On the other hand, the Miami Heat, they beat the number 1 seed, they beat the number 2 seed, and they beat the number 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. So I feel like we can't forget about that. And then with just having Jimmy Butler on your roster, it's gonna give you an opportunity every single night. And with also Eric Spoelstra, right, as a great head coach, he likes to switch it up, right? He was just playing cat and dog, or what's that saying when you have a cat and mouse with Joe Mazzulla? Joe Mazzulla will have a play out. We gonna get this to work. Eric Spoelstra will be like, "Oh, you thought we was going man? Now we're going zone. Now what you gonna do?" Like he was just having fun with him, and I think obviously Mike Malone's a better coach, and I think he can adjust to those matters and stuff like that. And I actually seen a stat that the Denver Nuggets play the best offense going against a zone, but let's not forget, I'm pretty sure Spoelstra was like, now I don't like, I'm pretty sure they watched film and seen all that type of stuff. They're going to be like, okay, game 1's going to be a fill out game. Let's try out some new stuff, right? Come on. Like, you got to realize, I'm pretty sure the Miami Heat, when they were up 3-0, the assistant coach and all the other coaching staff was already getting ready for Denver. I promise you that. Mm-hmm. They were getting ready for that. Like, yeah, they were still into the Celtics series, but they're like, let's be honest, we're going to win this series, right? They probably got a little bit nervous when it got 3-3, but they were already preparing for the Denver Nuggets. Like, the Denver Nuggets had rest, and sometimes that can affect them, but sometimes that can also be a good thing, right? So we just got to see how it comes out to them, because, like, having no rest, you're in practice, but you're not in a full game shape. You know what I'm trying to say? And everything is the Denver Nuggets altitude, right? All the players have came out and said, like, that's an advantage for them. Like, the first 5 minutes, man, you ain't breathing, And so they already have that advantage over the Heat, because if it goes to 7, who's going to be home? It's going to be the Denver Nuggets. You get what I'm trying to say? So, like, everything is pointing to the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets, they got the best player. They got the best roster. But with the Miami Heat, people continue to, continue to, don't give them respect. People are upset that they're in the finals because they care about the views and this and that. But there's a reason why they're here. They don't just win 3 series beating the number 1, 2, and 4. You get what I'm trying to say? And mainly, it's just going to be with heart. They just have a bunch of heart and bunch of dogs and great coaching. And having Jimmy Butler on the roster is just a thing, right? But not only that, I'm going to let you talk real quick. Their players are stepping up. Caleb Martin averaged more points than Jaylen Brown. He averaged more rebounds. In his splits, he shot 60, 49, and 88. Jaylen Brown shot 42, 16, 67. So, like, it's going to be a battle of Caleb Martin. Can he continue to play like that, right? Because his shooting has been outstanding, like at the three-point line. But also, can he match the numbers of a KCP and a Michael Porter Jr. and a Bruce Brown? I kind of put them all together because, like, they're the same players to me. Like, Michael Porter Jr. is a little bit different. The dude just gets the ball and shoot. But like a Bruce Brown and KCP are kind of like similar players to me, like Caleb Martin, So that's what I'm going to say for now. But this team has fight. They have toughness. They have adversity. They were 1 game away from the NBA Finals last year against the Celtics. And also, they literally were a couple seconds away from going to the finals in Game 6, and they lost by a buzzer beater. So you have to go through a lot of pain to understand where this team's coming from, and they're just gonna fight no matter what to the end.
Man, I love that. Yeah, I love that. And then it kind of, I kind of think of some questions or I guess some talking points. from some of the things that you were saying, right? I also seen that stat of like the Nuggets. They do very good against the zone. So and then and I know you're not Eric Spoelstra, so no, I don't expect you to have a whole defensive game plan and all that. But like in your eyes, like what then should they do? Because they can't go man. Because just like I talked about, you open at the top of the pod. Like if they go man, it's going to be a mismatch out there for at least like 2 to 3 players every single time, favoring towards Nuggets. So as a coach, would you go man? Would you go a little box and one? Like how are you feeling?
So see, and this is what I have for the Miami Heat that the Lakers didn't have. And I'm not throwing no shade at the Lakers. I'm just saying. I just want to say that. Yeah. So if you notice, right, the Lakers were letting both of them go off, Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. Both nights they were going off, right? I never say you can stop Jokic because you can't stop superstar players, right? You can slow them down for a few possessions. And I think the Lakers, believe it or not, if you look at the efficiency of Jokic through the last couple of games, he struggled. It's not like he had winning moments and stuff like that, but he was shooting 9 for 21, like stuff like that, right? Believe it or not, right? Bam on the offense end has struggled in the postseason, but I feel like a lot of people don't give him credit. And I think we talk about this all the time. Bam does stuff beyond the stat that's not shown on the thing, right? And I'm not saying Bam's the answer for Jokic, but I do think they're gonna put Bam on Jokic, right? And they're gonna see how that matchup works. Because Bam is very versatile. He can guard 1 through 4, 1 through 5, whatever the case is. He's undersized, right? And I don't think they're gonna throw a double at him. But if they do throw the double, just for the case, right? I personally, in my opinion, if I'm Spo, I'm like, okay, let Aaron Gordon beat us, right? But the thing is, Aaron Gordon, you can't have him in the dunker spot. You cannot have the dude in the dunker spot. You need to have him where you can only pass the ball around the perimeter, right? You have them around the perimeter. You can have Jokic in the middle or stuff like that. Because if you keep letting these dudes beat you backdoor, it's going to be a problem. Like you said earlier, KCP, Jeff Green, Bruce Brown, all these other players, they like to cut. They do not stop moving, right? So like I said, I'm not Spo, but I personally think throwing Bam on Jokic is going to be something, right? Just the length or just the size may affect him. I understand he went against Anthony Davis, who's way better than him, and that the length didn't really affect him too much. But what I do want to say is what the Lakers don't have, so I get to that point, is they didn't have no one to stop Jamal Murray. And for the Miami Heat side, you could throw bodies at Jamal Murray. You could throw a Jimmy Butler at him, which I personally love to throw. I would love to see that, right? They have Haywood Highsmith. Now, I know a lot of people may not know about him, right? But he comes in spurts in minutes. In Game 7, he came in for like 3 minutes. In those 3 minutes, he locked down Jason Tatum. He got 2 free buckets and got a deflection, right? So you could keep throwing different types of bodies at Jamal Murray. I think you're going to have to live and die by Jokic beating you, right? But Jamal Murray, personally, to me, you have to slow him down. Because if you don't slow him down, we've seen what he did to the Lakers. The dude doesn't miss. The dude just wasn't missing. So the more bodies you throw at Jamal Murray, you throw a Jimmy Butler at him, right? We already know he's a good two-way defender. But also you could throw Caleb Martin at him. You could throw Haywood Highsmith at him. You can even throw a little Burley body at him. He's not the greatest defender, but he could, get some charges on him, get, Jamal Murray frustrated, and Kyle Lowry, right? Because Kyle Lowry loves to draw charges. You still got Max Strus at him. So they have more length. They have more wings than the Lakers. The Lakers didn't really have that. You get what I'm trying to say? So I think great players are going to beat you no matter what. But if you can just slow down Jamal Murray by throwing length at him and putting size on Jamal Murray, because Jamal Murray was just chucking a lot of threes, but they didn't really have much tall guys on him, right? You put a dude like this, put his hand up like this, Jamal Murray ain't going to just be like, I'm just going to chuck this now. He ain't going to do that, So I think the size and length is going to matter for the Heat. But to answer your question, it's going to be real tough. They got to go man. I think they're going to start off with man, right? Because this team is disciplined. They listen to their coach. If you notice, the 2 teams are in the finals. A lot of these players listen to their coach. Mike Malone, the dude's like, you mess up for one play, he's calling a timeout. The game would just start. He's calling a timeout. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, these are 2 disciplined teams, and that's why they're in the finals. A lot of teams that aren't really in the finals, they weren't disciplined. They, you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure Spo's like, watch back door, like, get ready for this. So I think he switches it up. I still think he goes zone. I don't think Spo's going to go away from that because he literally did great in it. But but I think he just kind of switches up a little bit. Maybe you go 2-3, maybe you go 3-2-1, maybe you start pressing on the ball to get Jamal Murray a little bit tired before he can run the offense, you know?
Man, 100%. And I was actually going to say, I think a full court press might be something that the Miami Heat would actually benefit in. I mean, we always talk about Heat culture, right? And like the Heat players, they're ready to run through a wall for air exposure, and they're also in great shape. They're in great conditioning. I mean, if you get Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, it might be a little harder for Kyle Lowry. He's a little older, a little bit chubbier, but get these players chasing Jamal Murray around the entire court. And yeah, I mean, you just have to try to wear him down. But from the Nuggets side of things, I'm gonna get into 4 keys that I have from the Nuggets, just because I think that if they're able to utilize these, then they'll for sure be successful in this series. And my first one's got to start with the 2-man game. Jamal Murray and Jokic 2-man game. Man, their 2-man game is so extremely elite. I mean, we're going to see a lot of clips, unfortunately, from the Lakers series right here. I'm going to show some clips of Jamal Murray and Jokic's 2-man game, and I just want to highlight how many options that they are able to get out of their their pick and roll, whether it be a Jokic handoff, Jamal Murray handoff. So here, look, I'll play this right here. On this one, that was a ridiculous shot by Jokic. But on this one, look, as the defense, you can't ask the defense to play this really much better. They stayed with Jamal Murray, didn't give Jamal Murray anything. D'Angelo Russell is glued on to Jokic. LeBron's still playing help side. Jokic don't really got anywhere to go. He ends up hitting this ridiculous shot. But as a defense, you can't really ask for anything better than that. Yet the Nuggets and Jamal Murray and Jokic still get a bucket right here. Look at this one. On this one, they run it twice. They basically run it twice and just keep going until Jokic get open. On this one right here, let's see. Yeah, man, their 2-man game is just it's just extremely elite, man. Whether it be their DHOs, their pick and rolls, their just connection together, man. I seen this quote by Jamal Murray talking about like, yeah, I remember when me and Jokic were riding the bench together. So it's like you talked about that connection, right? You talk about that thing that the Miami Heat have, and I think they do have more of continuity. They're more together as a team than the Nuggets. But I mean, just these 2 stars. I mean, look at the communication right there. Jokic knew exactly where he was going to be, and look at this pick and roll. Jamal Murray, Jokic pick and roll. That was just terrible defense. That was just terrible defense. But let me run that. Go ahead, talk to me, T.
Yeah, so it's funny, and I think I said this in a video I made. I said, would you rather have Jamal Murray and Jokic or James Harden and Joel? And I looked at it and I said, man, Jamal Murray and Jokic are pretty much unstoppable. But what I do want to say is, right, look at the teams they're playing. And I don't want to discredit none of these teams, but this series right here, this Minnesota Timberwolves series, I'm pointing at the screen. You can't tell, right? The dude that got injured, Jalen McDaniels, I think that's his name. Jaden McDaniels, right?
Jaden.
This would be totally different, right? I think this will be a bigger series. I think Denver still wins, but the point I'm trying to say is they have no wing defenders. You're relying on Ant Edwards and Rudy Gobert to stop this right here. That's just not happening, right? The series before, they got the Phoenix Suns. They played the Phoenix Suns. What wing defenders do they have over there? They have none. You're relying on DeAndre Ayton, and because to be the big man to either pick up on the 3 or try to guard the dude to attack the free throw line or whatever the case may be, driving. So none of their teams they played are really wing deep, right? And I think the Miami Heat just have the size on the wing depth, on the big depth, like on the side, like the perimeter, but like in the paint type stuff, obviously they're very small. But this one, I still think they're going to be effective. Obviously, this is Jokic and Jamal Murray. But like I said earlier, when you have Jimmy Butler, when you have Caleb Martin, when you have Haywood Highsmith and Max Strus and all these other players there, they have size that's going to and as you see, they put Ant Edwards on Jamal Murray to put a little bit more size. But then you have freaking Rudy Gobert who can't move his feet, who thinks he's running in sands. He's like, look at this. They try to switch and they had no communication because that's no chemistry. That's no chemistry right there. They had no communication, right? You get what I'm trying to say? And so with the Heat team, obviously there's going to be plays where, there's going to be no communication, but you can't have it as much. And right there, that's just luck. That's not luck, but that's just kind of like
that's a crazy. That's like that first shot we just seen. I mean, you could do everything right on defense, and that's just him knocking it down. But no, I mean, I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree that the Heat have better perimeter players than the Suns, than the Lakers, than the Wolves. But like, what I was trying to get at with this point was just the fact of like, for the Nuggets, like one key for them is going to have to be going to that pick and roll game, because then force the Miami Heat to choose. Are you gonna come and double Jamal Murray, and then I'm gonna hit Jokic on this short roll, and Jokic is shooting 84% on those short rolls, or are you gonna go double Jokic, and is Jamal Murray gonna get an open shot? We know he's a shot maker. I mean, that's gonna be a huge part of the Nuggets game this series. And then second key part I want to touch on, and I touched on a little bit in the beginning, and that's team shooting, but in particular KCP and MPJ. When those two players are hitting, this team becomes practically unstoppable, because if Jamal Murray and Jokic are playing a high pick and roll, and you got KCP in one quarter and MPJ in one corner, both shooting over 40% from the 3-point line, like, what are you gonna like? What is the defense is gonna do? So I think that right there, number one is definitely the Jokic and Murray 2-man game, and then number two for them has got to be getting huge contributions. You can't be in those nights where KCP shooting 21% from the 3-point line, or MPJ scared to shoot. Those guys both have to be elite. They stretch the floor. Talk to me, Keith.
Yeah, so I agree. I think that their offense gets even better, but what I do think the Heat could do, and I do think they will do, is make Michael Porter Jr. unplayable. And that's so easy to do, right? You make Michael Porter Jr. unplayable. We've seen it in the postseason before. For the Denver Nuggets fans, if you come watch this video, say that's not true. We've seen it before. Michael Porter Jr. on the defensive end is a liability. The reason why you didn't see it too much in the postseason, because like I said, they just had all the easy matchups. It wasn't noticeable. It wasn't, in the regular season, the dude was getting benched for a while. And he was even calling it out, like, I haven't been playing. What you want me to do? Well, Mike Malone don't care how good you are. If you're not playing defense, you're not going to be on the court. And so I think the Miami Heat can target Michael Porter Jr. easily, right? I mean, I'm going to bring this topic up right now. Tyler Hero will be back. And that could be a good or bad thing for the Miami Heat, because they've been rolling. Huh?
Real quick, what do you think it'll be, good or bad?
To be honest with you, I think it's going to mess them up. I don't think Tyler Hero should ever came back, right? Because this team just made it to the finals without Tyler Hero. Like, they literally just made it to the finals without Tyler Hero. So, but also then I can look at the other side of the fact, like, Tyler Hero, the reason why the Heat were struggling is because he went into the starting lineup. If you know, the Miami Heat were the best scoring team last year coming off the bench, mainly because of Tyler Hero. I think you put Tyler Hero coming off the bench with a unit of Kyle Lowry, put Caleb Martin back in keep starting Caleb Martin, because he only started 3 games. As y'all noticed, the Heat changed the starting lineup. They were starting Kevin Love, but then they went into Caleb Martin, right? So I think it's gonna affect them in a sense, because Tyler Hero, believe it or not, he jacks up a lot of shots, right? So you know what that means, John? That means it's going to be less shot attempts for Caleb Martin. That means it's going to be less shot attempts for Gabe Vincent. And these are the 2 players that were undrafted who played extremely good basketball in the last series, and they outplayed Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Gabe Vincent and Caleb Martin, before Gabe Vincent torn his ankle, they were outplaying Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. So these are going to be less shot attempts for these dudes. And Tyler Hero is going to want to close in that fourth quarter when it matters most. But this is why I like Spo, because I think Spo knows what's up. I think he knows his team, and I think he's just going to have to give Tyler Hero the word, like, we're playing better without you. You could come. Like, he's going to play him, obviously, but he's not going to. It's kind of those situations like Darvin Ham had with Russell Westbrook, where it's like you don't want to bench him because he's a star player for your team, but he's messing up the team, so you got to keep him on the bench. That's going to be the same thing with Tyler Hero. But going back to Michael Porter Jr., in the sense, I think you can make him unplayable, and that'll be interesting to see, right? Because I think a lot of players on this team create their own shot. Jimmy Butler obviously can create his own shot. With Tyler Hero being back, he can create his own shot. Gabe Vincent has been incredible lately. He can take it at Michael Porter Jr. one-on-one and stuff like that. So he got 3 players that could create their own shot in this sense. And so make Michael Porter Jr. unplayable, then this series can be a little bit different, right? Because now you're taking away offense. And I know what Bruce Brown did coming off the bench, and I know he kind of replaces Michael Porter Jr. in this sense. But let's see if Bruce Brown continues to play like that, because the Lakers, let's be honest with you, they're giving him a lot of open looks and a lot of back doors.
Agreed. And I'm not gonna lie, that's a great point, T. That's a great point. If the Miami Heat really can try to, limit or even just totally shut down and shut off MPJ, because you're right, you can't totally shut down players like Jokic, but you can shut down MPJs. So if they can do that, that will just take out it probably like what their third scoring option on the team.
Third best scoring option. Yeah. And then let's be honest, Aaron Gordon, he is not going to be playing like how he played on game 4 every single night.
Yeah, agreed. Right. So if you take off MPJ, you cannot bank on Aaron Gordon. You cannot bank on Bruce Brown. You can't bank on these other players to have those ridiculous games. Like, yeah, they'll have maybe 1 or 2, but in the NBA Finals, and then especially in the spot where away in the NBA Finals, role players are going to shrink even more. That pressure, they feel it. So that's a great point, T. Let me get into my last 2 key points for the Denver Nuggets, and that is, I think Aaron Gordon is going to have to be the primary defender on Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler wants to take over and can take over. I'm pretty sure he's or there was a point in the playoffs that he was leading the playoffs in scoring, and he's just one of the guys that he just got that switch. And in my opinion, Jimmy Butler still did his thing, but had a bit of a hard time with Robert Williams last series on him. And I think it's just those bigger guys, those players that are bigger than him and, can get real physical with him. I think he tends to struggle with them. With Rob Will, he was able to kind of blow by him. But I don't know if that's going to be the same story as much on Aaron Gordon. I'm not saying Aaron Gordon's going to shut down Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is like one of those stars where you can't shut them down. But I do think that it's key. The Nuggets defense is going to be trying to contain Jimmy Butler, because there's not really going to be that many other offensive options that can just say at any point, like, I'll just go get a bucket. I could just take over. So I think Aaron Gordon's going to be huge for them defensively. And then my last one, which I opened up the show with, is just a height advantage. They have to take advantage of that on second chance points, on the offensive glass, defensive glass, post ups, like how we talked about. Basketball, at the end of the day, I know people say heart over height. Me personally, I never reached 6 foot. So I had a lot of coaches, when I was still hooping, saying, yeah, heart over height. And while that is true, to a certain extent, basketball is a game of height and advantage. And if you're taller than another team, you're bigger than another person, you just simply have an advantage. And there's just not much anyone can do about it. But those are my, my 4 keys. Is definitely, the 2-man game, Jokic and Murray shooting at KCP and MPJ, Aaron Gordon playing some defense on Jimmy, and then their height. But I guess we can start wrapping up. TT, do you have any last couple of words, as we say, before we get to this game predictions?
Yeah. I was looking at the Miami Heat shooting stats and all their splits at the 3-point line. They're gonna have a problem with that, right? Because Jimmy's shooting 35% from 3, which is pretty incredible for Jimmy, right? Because we know he don't really attempt threes. In this postseason, he's attempted 3.5, so we can round that up to 4, right? But not only that, right? Caleb Martin's shooting 44% from the 3. Gabe Vincent's shooting 39. Tyler Herro only played 1 game, but he's shooting 50. Max Strus is shooting 36. Duncan Robinson's shooting 45 from 3. Kyle Lowry's shooting 35. Kevin Love is shooting 37, and Haywood Highsmith is shooting 50, right? And yes, these attempts, like Haywood Highsmith was only attempting like one a game and type stuff, but their main shooters in the sense of Max Strus, Duncan Robinson, Kyle Lowry, and Caleb Martin and stuff like that, they're shooting high percentages. So it'll be interesting to see what defense do the Denver Nuggets go in this sense, right? Because the Miami Heat play team ball, and that's the reason why they're here. They play team ball, and their role players, their undrafted players are hitting shots. And so you can talk about Denver's role players not hitting shots, but you can also talk about Miami Heat players may not hitting shots. What if Caleb Martin turns back into undrafted Caleb Martin? I don't think so, because he's just been playing all good postseason. But like you said, it's the finals. Everybody's watching you, not just NBA fans, but people that don't even watch basketball are going to be tuning into the NBA finals. And that just puts more pressure on you, right? But either way, I got Miami Heat in 6. I have a lot of what's that word? A lot of freaking
feelings, emotions.
No. I have a lot of faith in the Miami Heat. Another reason why is because Bam, I said this earlier, they do the pick and roll and they got Jamal Murray guarding Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo is a very good defender on the perimeter. He's very good. He's very versatile. He can stay in front of his man. Unlike Rudy Gobert, unlike DeAndre Ayton, and Anthony Davis tends to play back a lot. And that's why he got a lot of good looks, right? And so Bam Adebayo will guard you one-on-one. He even said, if I got to guard Jason Tatum, I'll do it. And there was possessions where he was guarding, and I wish I had the stat of Bam Adebayo of him guarding every single player, but I know the field goal percentage was horrible. So offensively, Bam needs to be in the 20s because he's just not cutting it enough. But yeah, man, Miami in 6.
Miami in 6. And who's your series MVP?
Personally, I thought Caleb Martin won the Eastern Conference MVP. I definitely did. He lost by 1 vote. But it has to be Jimmy Butler. No matter what, it has to be Jimmy Butler. If it's not Jimmy Butler, then freaking
then the series is over.
yeah, exactly. So.
Thanks. All right, T. Well, I like that. My guy T has Heat in 6. And he has Jimmy Butler for the series MVP. I am going the other way. I have Denver Nuggets in 6, and I think the series MVP is going to have to go to Nikola Jokic. He's just going to have to just take over. He's got the biggest mismatch. But, man, we shall see. We shall see. NBA fans, family, it's here, man. It's finally here. What we've been working towards all year, we've been praying for, playing for, practicing for, doing everything is for this big moment, man. Hope you guys enjoy this. This episode will come out in the morning of the game 1 of NBA Finals, which is June 1st. So hope you have a happy Thursday, happy game 1. T-Riz, appreciate you as always. Family, make sure you go check out T-Riz. All of his content will be linked in the description down below. But if that's it, then we gone.